The shrinking moon. Right now, above your head, our silver companion is slowly and violently dying. Not fast, not in a way you'd ever notice, but it's happening, and NASA has the proof. Our moon is shrinking. Over the last few 100 million years, it has lost around 150 feet of its diameter. That doesn't sound like much, but think about what's causing it. Deep inside the core is cooling, slowly, steadily, and as it cools, the whole thing contracts, like a grape drying into a raisin. Here's where it gets worse. There are no plates up there, like on Earth. No way to release that pressure smoothly, so the crust just cracks, snaps, breaks apart in massive thrust faults spread all over the surface, and every time one of those faults slips, something happens, a moonquake. Not the small kind either. Some of these quakes hit 5.5 on the Richter scale. They last over 10 minutes, 10 full minutes of the ground shaking on a place with no atmosphere to muffle it, no water to dampen it, just raw shaking rock. Astronauts on Apollo left seismometers behind. Those machines recorded 28 shallow moonquakes before they shut off. NASA studied the data, and they found something disturbing. Some of those quakes lined up perfectly with the exact spots where Artemis III is planning to land. That silver disk in your sky isn't dead, it's cracking, and we're about to walk right onto the fault lines. But this is only the beginning, because billions of years ago, our companion wasn't dying. It was fighting to survive. Protected by something no small world was supposed to have, the magnetic moon. Around 4 billion years ago, something completely impossible was happening in the sky, above ancient Earth. Not the small kind, not a trace magnetic field like some space rocks have. A real one, almost as strong as Earth's is today. Scientists didn't believe it at first. Then Apollo brought back rocks, and those rocks had something locked inside them. A magnetic signature, a fingerprint left behind by a lunar magnetic field that once wrapped the entire surface. That's not supposed to be possible. Magnetic fields need a churning liquid core, something big, something hot. Earth has one. That's why we're protected from solar radiation. But our companion is small. It should have cooled off fast. It should never have generated a field like that. It did anyway. For nearly 2 billion years, there was a global magnetosphere up there. From 4.25 billion years ago, all the way to 2.5 billion years ago. That's longer than complex life has existed on Earth. But here's what makes it insane. New research from 2024 found the field wasn't steady. It flickered. Blobs of titanium-rich magma near the core were melting in bursts, stirring things up. Every time they did, the magnetic field switched on. Hard, then faded, then switched on again. A dying world with a heartbeat. And that shield didn't just protect one place. Scientists now think Earth and our companion shared magnetospheres, two shields working together, buying our atmosphere enough time to become breathable. The rock in your sky literally helped keep Earth alive. Now go back further, because before the magnetic field, there was something even harder to believe. There was air, the atmospheric moon. Around 3.5 billion years ago, if you had been floating in space near Earth, you would have witnessed something impossible. Not thin, not a wisp of gas, a real atmosphere, twice as thick as Mars has right now. NASA confirmed it in 2017. They studied volcanic glass beads brought back by Apollo astronauts, tiny orange spheres pulled from the lunar surface. And locked inside those beads were gases, carbon monoxide, sulfur, the chemical ingredients for water. Those beads were the smoking gun. Between 3 and 4 billion years ago, the surface was violently volcanic. Massive eruptions ripped across the terrain. Lava seas filled the giant impact basins. And every eruption pumped gas into the sky faster than that gas could escape. For 70 million years, it stuck around. Think about that. Not 70 years. Not 70,000, 70 million. A visible atmosphere wrapping a world that today looks completely dead. Here's what makes it wilder. The two biggest bursts came when lava flooded the Serenitatis and Imbrium basins, around 3.8 and 3.5 billion years ago. If you look up at a full moon tonight, those dark patches you see are what's left. Those are the exact basins that once bled gas into the lunar sky. And scientists have said something they usually never say. An atmosphere that thick could have supported life. No proof of life has been found, but the conditions were there for 70 million years, right above us. But an atmosphere needs something to sit on, and back then that surface wasn't a quiet rock. It was erupting, constantly, in ways nothing in the solar system does today. The volcanic moon. For an incredible 3 billion years, the entire lunar surface was completely on fire. Not small eruptions, not 1 or 2 volcanoes. Constant volcanic activity everywhere you looked. For longer than complex life has existed on Earth, scientists know exactly when it happened. between 4.2 billion and 1.2 billion years ago. Pockets of hot magma from deep inside rose to the crust. Every time they hit lower pressure, they melted, and that molten rock poured out through cracks in the surface. It didn't drip, it flooded. Lava seas hundreds of miles wide filled the massive impact basins left behind by asteroid strikes. Some flows traveled hundreds of kilometers before cooling. The basalt they left behind is still there, frozen in place, waiting. Go outside tonight, look up. Those dark patches you can see with your naked eye. Those are called Maria, Latin for seas, because the first astronomers thought they were oceans. They weren't. They were something stranger. They were ancient lava. Every dark spot up there is a cooled ocean of basalt, a scar left behind by eruptions that lasted longer than dinosaurs walked the earth. That familiar face you see every night is a record of 3 billion years of fire. And here's the part that stops scientists cold. The volcanoes didn't fully die out until 1.2 billion years ago. That's practically yesterday in cosmic time. Eruptions were still happening while single-celled life was already evolving on Earth. But the volcanoes weren't the worst thing that surface survived. Before them, the sky itself was falling, the bombarded moon. Around 4.1 billion years ago, the sky above the young lunar surface was violently raining fire for 300 million years straight. Not meteor showers, not small rocks, asteroids, city-sized asteroids slamming into the surface so fast and so often that the crust never got a chance to heal. Scientists call it the late heavy bombardment. It started around 4.1 billion years ago, and it didn't stop until 3.8 billion. 300 million years of non-stop cosmic violence. Impacts so massive they carved out basins hundreds of miles wide. Some tore through the crust, deep enough to hit the mantle. Everything up there looked like a war zone. Every giant crater you can see up there right now was punched into existence during this stretch. Imbrium, Nectaris, Crisium, all of them, formed in a brief pulse of impacts that reshaped the entire lunar surface. Then researchers found something worse. Recent studies suggest there were as many as 200 basin-forming impacts before 4.35 billion years ago that we can't even see anymore. The evidence got wiped out, covered up by later impacts, erased by volcanic flows. 200 giant strikes, vanished from the record. Here's what makes it terrifying. Earth was right next door, same neighborhood, same time period. Whatever was hitting our companion was hitting us too. But Earth has weather, water, plate tectonics. Every one of those craters got erased. The scars up there are the receipts. That's why we study them, to learn what almost killed our planet. Every mark on that surface is a record of an attack Earth barely survived. But wait, because before the bombardment, the whole thing wasn't even in its current spot. It was so close to Earth that looking up would have terrified anyone. The close moon, around 4.5 billion years ago. If you had looked up at the sky, you would have seen something 15 times bigger than the moon today. Not a small circle, not the coin-sized disk you see today. A massive glowing wall of rock hanging overhead, filling nearly a quarter of the sky, because back then it was that much closer. When our companion first formed, it orbited around 15,000 miles from Earth. That's it. For comparison, it now sits nearly 239,000 miles away, 15 times closer, practically touching. The sky would have been unrecognizable. Here's the wild part. Scientists proved this, not guessed. Proved. Apollo astronauts left reflectors on the lunar surface in the 1970s. And every year since then, researchers have bounced lasers off those reflectors, timed the return trip, watched the numbers change. That silver disk is drifting away. About 1 inch per year, every year. Run the math backwards, and you get a young companion sitting right on top of us. The effects were brutal. A day on Earth was only 5 hours long. 5. Our planet was spinning that fast because of the impact that created our neighbor. Tides weren't water tides. They were rock tides. The crust of both worlds bulged toward each other under insane gravity, and there might have been more than one. Some models suggest a second sibling, around 1,000 kilometers wide, formed at the same time. It shared orbit with the main one for millions of years, then eventually crashed into the far side. That's why the far side looks so different. It might be another world buried in ours. But go back even further, and there isn't a rock at all. There's a glowing ocean of lava, the size of a planet, the Magma Moon. Around 4.5 billion years ago, before the rocky surface existed, there was only a glowing ocean of pure liquid fire. Not water, fire. A glowing molten sphere the size of a small planet floating in space. Nothing solid on it, nothing you could stand on. Just a world made entirely of liquid rock. Scientists call it the lunar magma ocean. More than 1,000 kilometers deep. That's not a lava lake. That's not a hot spot. That's the entire outer half, existing as an ocean of melted stone, glowing red, visible from millions of miles away. And it stayed like that for a long time. Some estimates say it cooled in a few million years. Others say it took up to 200 million. Either way, the young world spent its entire early life glowing red. visible from space as a burning sphere hanging next to a burning Earth. Here's what's beautiful about it. Everything you see up there today came from that ocean. As the magma-cooled minerals started separating by density, the lighter stuff floated to the top, the heavier stuff sank to the bottom. Slowly, over millions of years, that floating layer became the lunar crust. Every bright highland region you can spot with binoculars. That's crystallized magma foam, an orthosite rock, solidified in space while the rest was still glowing beneath it. The whole thing literally sorted itself out, and every Apollo sample confirmed it. The chemistry only makes sense if it started as a full magma ocean. There's no other explanation, but even a magma ocean has an origin. And this one's origin is the most violent moment in the history of our planet, the collision moon. Around 4.5 billion years ago, the most violent event in the history of our planet was about to give birth to a new world. A planet slammed into Earth, and neither one survived the way we survive things today. Scientists call the killer Theia. It was roughly the size of Mars. It hit the young Earth at around 9,000 miles per hour. Not a graze, a direct impact. Enough energy to melt entire continents. Enough force to shatter both worlds down to the core. Then something strange happened. The debris didn't just fly apart. It stayed, trapped by gravity, orbiting the wound. A ring of vaporized rock and molten metal, wrapping the ruined Earth like a burning halo. That halo became the sphere in your sky. Some scientists think the impact was even worse than that. So violent it created something called a synestia, a donut-shaped cloud of vaporized planet. Earth and Theia both turned into gas, spinning together, slowly condensing back down into two separate worlds. Our companion literally cooled out of a cloud of dead planets. Here's what a June 2025 study confirmed. Researchers analyzed Apollo rocks, using iron isotope ratios for the first time, and they finally figured out where Theia came from. It formed even closer to the Sun than Earth, a lost inner planet, erased from history. Its only trace now is the pale disk hanging in our sky. Every time you look up, you're seeing the ghost of a dead world. And that ghost gave us everything. Our tides, our seasons, even our atmosphere. Because the collision that killed Theia gave birth to the planet that saved us. That silver light isn't just a rock, it's the grave of something bigger.